Hello, this is Steve Ramona, your host for Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I want to thank our sponsors, InPhone, and with InPhone, you can place your business on everybody's cell phone, turn their business into a web app, and with a click of a button, they'll have access to you 24/7. And also Pantheon.fm. Have you ever thought about monetizing and taking your podcast to the next level? Well, Pantheon can do that. Let us show you how. Reach out to Steve Ramona, the host, at inphone.co/SR1, and I will go over with you how you can make your podcast really stand out. Let's enjoy the show. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. This is your host, Steve Ramona. And I'm super excited because this gentleman, my guest, is making a career change. And he's young, much younger than me, but the cool thing is he's opening that door and he's making that change. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve. It's going to be a fun convo.
Oh, it really is. We had a pre-convo and it was great. Let's talk about agency coaching and why you got into it and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can kind of do a little rewind to kind of the beginning of 2021. And I had the opportunity to start a marketing and branding agency, kind of in the digital space about 10 years ago, and have had some cool successes in that. Obviously fallen on my face a lot too, but cool successes in that, scaling a team, growing revenues, building people up, and it's been really fun. But one of the things that I've noticed across that adventure is that as I was growing, I started to continue to get more and more, people reaching out, asking questions. How did you do this? What did you have in place for that? Who did you hire first? Like just, lots of different questions around that. And so kind of, fast forward in that adventure to 2021, just decided, hey, I think I'm just going to start like a coaching program and just see, can I dive a little bit deeper into helping people, versus just those one-off, two-off kind of questions, with people. And so that was kind of like the beginning of it, specifically around kind of that marketing, branding, communications, PR space, and kind of people that are running those teams and building those organizations.
I like that because agency coaching and you used experience and your previous jobs led you to this.
Yeah.
I love that because we talk about opening the door. How important is your experience going to help with your coaching with your clients that you have and will have?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it is really interesting because I do meet a lot of coaches that that don't have their experience, and it's just interesting because I'm very curious of what they offer because I just don't look at it through that lens. It's kind of like that. If you're on a championship, basketball team or something like that, and your coach has won a championship, been a player, coached for 10 years or whatever it is, gone through the playoffs, like he's been in the scenarios before. And so I would guess, if I'm not a basketball player, so maybe this is a horrible example, but I would guess as a player or as someone that's trying to be a coach at some point, being in that setting and that environment with that, kind of organization or with that group of people that have done it before, you're going to learn a lot because they've kind of navigated some of the, the first times, the second times, the 10th times. And I know that that's true for me too, as I've gone through a lot of different scenarios. I am a younger on the side of kind of business side. I've got about 20 years of working experience under my belt, but I definitely have been through a lot more than the average. Both positive things that have been really cool and fun to build from a entrepreneurial side of things, but also, a lot of stuff that's been really hard. Acquisitions that haven't gone well, mergers that haven't gone well, teams that have disappeared, services that have been challenging, clients that have left, everybody kind of has it, but I'd say there's a chance that I could add a little bit more to how people can help navigate it. So yeah, I think it's really important. Experience, I think the way you approach it, I tend to be more of like a positive thinker. Like what does something that someone might look at as really negative, what does it create? Like what's the opportunity that thing creates? And so I think that's just maybe a little bit of a unique perspective compared to some. So
it's a great answer. And it brings me that story of that parent. You got kids. I don't, but my dad was my coach. But a coach goes out there to coach baseball and he's never played the sport in his life. And he's trying to figure this out with 12-year-old little leaguers, which is okay because it's more fun, but they're going to struggle a little bit because he's still learning how to coach. I wouldn't want to do that with my $5 million agency.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it a little bit, is that experience. I mean, all of us want to be around people who have been there, done that before. Like, that's a pretty natural and normal thing, hang out with the people you want to be like, kind of thing. And so I think that provides that kind of perspective and ability to speak into certain situations. It's like I've talked to numerous people on mergers and acquisitions for the last number of years, and I was in that space before this career, kind of investment stuff and all sorts of things, from buying and selling. And so I kind of get it. Like, I just kind of get the game. I understand questions you should ask, numbers you should look for. Like, I just kind of know how to sort through a lot of that information. And so it just, comparatively to the first time people do it, you're kind of, flying blind and don't really know where to go and what, levers to pull or whatever you want to call them. And so I think, like just that idea of, yeah, as you're going through this, that makes sense. I can totally relate, but maybe watch out for this, this, and this. Like, just that alone in a 30-second soundbite can be something that can save you $100,000 or something like that, or more, And so I think the value of a coach really can be the things to work on, things to, pursue and work towards. But I think it's also the opposite too, of, well, what should I maybe dodge? What are the landmines that I could step on here that I don't know about? And it's just as valuable of a question to ask, in my opinion, as it is to go, hey, how do I make the next million, or how do I make the next 10 million? Like, those are really exciting and fun, those are awesome. But there's also that element of, well, I'm in it right now, the day-to-day, the grind of running a business, the grind of figuring out what's next or how to navigate this, that, or the other thing. Hey, what should I watch out for? I'm in this scenario. What should I not do? And my classic line is that, I'm here to make it so, or ideally help you not fall in your face as many times as I have, And so even if it's one less time, it's going to be maybe a little bit less painful, for people that I get to work with. So I guess I suppose that's a little bit of my heart behind the kind of process.
No, and from outside looking in, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's like you have this information, this knowledge base of, XYZ clients doing this. Okay, Steve, do this, this, and this. They do it, and it solves the problem.
Yeah.
We talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars or potential. I mean, you said that already.
Yeah.
And that leads to my next question. How important is vision for the agencies that you work with and are going to work with?
Oh man, Steve, you stole my last tidbit. I was going to leave people with this. All right. No, I'm just kidding. Vision. I mean, in my opinion, there's lots of different opinions. My opinion or belief around vision is that it all starts there. There's lots of people that will ask, hey, what should I do here? What should I, who should I hire? How should I build? Should I hire this senior role? Should we pursue this direction? Should we? And I always just go, well, what do you want to build? I mean, that's literally, like, I don't know, because the answer to those questions is so different. I think oftentimes that there's a difference in the marketing agency space of, well, do you want to create a business? Are you going to work here forever? Like, do you want to retire in this business, or are you hoping to sell it, at some point? Okay, you want to sell it. Sounds good. All right. So when do you want to sell it? In 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 15 years? What? Or it's a lifestyle. It's like the answer is going to be different. If you're trying to sell it, I'm going to tell you, well, you probably don't want to work for someone else for 3 to 5 years, I would guess, if someone buys it. Just if you're your own entrepreneur, you're probably not going to necessarily want to do that. And so hiring a senior staff that pulls you further and further out of the day-to-day is going to be really important, versus maybe that's your sweet spot and you love that. And so you just need to hire more kind of a supportive staff. So the questions are different based on the vision of what you want to do, just to run people through that example. So I think the vision, spending time on your vision, understanding what it is, the why behind it. I think I was challenged early on to, if I ever wanted to get to the spot where I sold a company, answering the question why. And, well, why do you want to sell it? Well, it'd be cool to make money. All right. How much money do you want? What are you going to use it on? Oh, and then you're kind of like, you really have to think through it, because then you start to define a little bit of, oh, I need to create this size of an organization to sell it for this much so that I can do these. So it's kind of like reverse engineering what you're really trying to do. And I think that that's really what vision helps you with. It gives you, it starts to unfold a plan a little bit more organically or strategically rather, versus organically, just kind of, oh, I just woke up today and I got a new client. Hey, way to go. That's awesome. How are you going to get your next one? How do you make sure you eat in 6 months? And, there's a lot more strategic play to it. So yeah, vision, I'm a big vision guy, vision boards, coming up with new plans. I mean, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to sitting down with my wife and my kids at the week between Christmas and New Year's and going, hey, what are we going to do this next year? What's what vacations would we want to try to go on, or house projects we want to work on, or camps you guys want to go to? Because then it helps you plan out your year, right? Versus just having to say either yes or no at the moment someone asks you, hey, Dad, can we do this? Or hey, Dad, can we do that? And you're like, I don't know. I think sure. Like you really don't know unless you have a plan.
Yeah.
And when everyone's bought in on the plan, then it's people are wanting to make it happen. So I think I'm a total vision nerd.
Yeah, you are, and you just taught me some things there. And that what you just gave, what I'm hearing from you, is $100,000 tip, because the two scenarios you gave, I was going to ask you, and you did it ahead of me, which I'm glad you did. Those are two good examples, because, and what I love what you're doing, Tyler, you're taking Steve Ramona, the CEO or founder of marketing agency, and going, let's look past your company.
Yeah.
I want to take you further, which nothing against coaches and people that help. They want to take you and then you exit and you're out. You want to take it further. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. The marketing agency space is really interesting because the average agency, in my mind, kind of what I've observed, if they kind of almost fall into building a business, not bad fall into, but most people are some sort of a tactician. And I use that real loosely, but it's, maybe I'm a designer or a strategist or a developer or account manager or copyright, like all the different kind of skill sets you can have and as a marketer. And you probably decided, hey, I want to go out on my own. I've got an entrepreneurial bone or an itch to scratch. And then all of a sudden, like you're probably pretty good at it. And so then all of a sudden you started to get contracts and maybe a couple additional ones. Maybe they got bigger and you had to start hiring a team. And then fast forward 5 years, you've gotten enough of those that now all of a sudden you have a team, and you kind of fell into, oh my gosh, I have an agent. Oh, I've got an agency now. And it's usually not super like strategic of how you got there. And that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's an awesome story and really cool. But at some point you do have to kind of pause and go, so what's like, why? What are you doing? Where are you going? Where do you want to take it? Do you like the way it is now? Like, do you want to change it? And there's nobody else that's going to do that for you. I mean, you're the only person that can choose that adventure, choose that direction. And so I think that from that standpoint, I think it is just so important to spend time doing that, specifically in the agency space. I think for everything else, most people in like the business side usually have that. Like they're naturally jumping into, oh, I'm in this deal to climb this ladder. I want this position because of this responsibility, because of this resume builder. Like go talk to some people that are real high performers on that side. And there's usually a pretty strategic vision for it. Maybe it's just to make lots of money, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also some people that are like, oh, I want to set my kids up for this, or I want to build the legacy for this, or like it's pretty fascinating usually to talk to people that kind of have built their careers around some sort of a strategic plan for it. So
interesting as you're talking, I'm thinking, so you've got a person that works at an agency and has that itch. I like the bone too. That's a great analogy, but has that itch to start their own business. But you did it. So that's why I'm asking you this. That's where you come in even more. Steve Ramona goes to 10 years with this XYZ marketing agency, and I did SEO. I was an expert SEO guy. And now I'm like, why can't I just start an SEO company?
Yeah.
I'm going to have some challenges, aren't I?
Oh my word. Yeah. I think what's funny is that most, even like employees that work for me or team members that work for me, is like, they don't know everything that I do. They don't know everything I did to get to where I'm at. Like they don't understand like the penalties I paid in the state of California because I had employees there and I didn't know you had to pay some sort of fee because no one told you, and then, oh, I've got to have this person in place or this policy in place or this insurance thing in place, or there's not a manual. Like, you're probably, some people are really smart and they just know that, but they learned it somewhere. Like it came up somewhere. There's not a start a marketing agency 101. Well, maybe there is, maybe there should be. I should maybe teach a course or something and put it online. But like, that's kind of the thing is most people just don't understand those pieces of it. They don't understand well, great. Like awesome. You charge $100 an hour. That's so cool. Now you've added 10 people. You can't charge $100 an hour anymore. Like it literally won't pay the bills. Like you're going to have to build loaded rates and build hourly rates that have loaded amounts into them and learn how to value price things and, learn how to sell. I mean, you could keep going on and on and on, but you're kind of like, you have to, as an individual or solopreneur, you've got to have this skill set that almost is a whole organization in one. So you got to know how to navigate the invoicing process and collection of those invoices, all the way to executing the work and making sure clients are happy and getting the work, or getting the results they want, and everything in between. There's a million steps. And so I think one of the things that I can help with on that, or that people like me can, is just that I've kind of been there. And so I know, oh yeah, no, you don't, your brain's not wired to, excuse me, to handle, with bookkeeping. Don't try to do your own bookkeeping. No, outsource it. Here's like 5 different companies you could work with. Let me make some intros, just kind of helping people delegate and not trying to do it on their own. So you kind of free them up to actually enjoy what they like doing. Because probably if they started an SEO agency, they like doing SEO. And so being able to figure out how to free them up to do that versus 80% of their time on, administration, we'll call it, from a business side
and the
of
company drops because you started the company.
Yeah.
And that's where coaching comes in. And let's just use your coaching, is given that ability to help with these answers, it's a fraction of what they can make. I mean, I hear coaches, oh my God, coach, I got to spend 10,000 for a coach or this. And let's bring vision back in. So I want to make $1 million in 2024 in my marketing agency. Yeah. You're going to, and we don't have to say, well, I don't like your prices, but it's going to be a fraction of that to get there. So if I paid you 10,000 for a year and I hit $1 million, I know I'd be happy. Yeah. So am I thinking it correctly?
No, you're totally right. I think when people cross the barrier to understand that, like a lot of people, when they first jump into business, and I've found in the marketing space specifically, is that they really do try to run finance or money kind of like they would maybe on the personal side, where on your personal side, maybe you live on a budget and you're really trying to pinch pennies here and there. And that's important. Like, I'm not saying, hey, don't just spend, outrageously on the business side, but you usually have to spend money to make money on the business side. So you usually have to, spend money to be in a room, to be around people you want to be around, to potentially get those deals, or maybe it's a lead gen thing, or maybe it's a certification you have to spend every year so that you can then generate business from that, or have that credibility so that business will come into you for that. And oftentimes, I mean, the biggest expense for, agencies is people. So you got to have people that can do the work. And, the classic example is I hire the best person I can at the beginning, and I may be paying them 30 grand a year because that's all I can afford. But I sign the deal and the client wants to work with someone that's more senior, and then you pass the work off to the person that has a year of experience. Well, that doesn't really work very long. So you kind of have to learn how to figure that piece of it out. But that means you're going to spend money. Like you need to, buy the talent and the skill set that's going to help get you to the next level. So I mean, I think it's the same application for coaches or people that can help you navigate it. If I can help you, get somewhere faster, that's really a really big deal, and a really, time saver, cost saver, because usually it costs you money. If it's going to take extra time, it's going to take extra money too.
Yeah.
And so I remember this was early on for me, probably maybe like 5 years ago. I'd gone through a season that was kind of tough growing the business, and I met with kind of a consultant role, and they kind of replayed the last season I was in. So I'd call it almost like a counseling or a therapy session in some ways, but they started pointing out these things, and instantly I go, man, I think I wasted like $400,000 right there. And they literally go, yeah, this is exactly how you did it, this, and this. And I go, how would I not do that again? How would you foresee that? How would you see that not happening? And they kind of walked me through some different, almost kind of like guardrails, if you will, of a practice that you can kind of put in place so that wouldn't happen again. And a lot of it had to do with like forecasting, capacity management, all those types of things. And if anybody's listened to this at that stage, the pain point that goes to when you leave the 10-person organization and you have to now go, I can't be in every sales conversation, every client call, every internal call. And so you do have to start going, I can't waste money. People have to be busy. Like they have to have their time filled. And so I just use that as an example of a person that I met with early on for me that really did help point me in the right direction for that. Did I fall on my face there and it was an expensive mistake? Yeah. But that's kind of the stuff that I really do hope to help others navigate. And, that person really did help me a lot, and I learned a ton from that. So,
well, and the best part of that story you just said, you're successful right now. You're not homeless. You're totally. And success is very general, but
totally.
You lost $400,000, but that's why doing business with service heart, and you definitely have that servant heart, is people understand that you're going to have failures.
Oh yeah.
You've probably ran, well, you've had one, 400. That's a big fail. People in the audience
Yeah.
are going, holy crap, I don't know what I do.
Yeah.
But you recovered from it.
Yep.
Before I forget, let's do a shot. You've given me us so many nuggets. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. Two ways. One is I spend a fair amount of time on LinkedIn. So it's
Okay.
this little social media platform for business. I'm just kidding. So just search my first and last name. First name's Tyler, Tyler, and last name's Pigott, Pigott. Just search that. Connect with me, send me a message. I'm pretty decent at getting back to people and love to talk to people that way. The other is I have a website that's my first and last name.com. It's like my coaching kind of consulting website. Check that out. Or third would be our agency if you want to check it out right now, loneforcreative.com, LONEFIR, and then the word creative.com. So if you can kind of see what we do and all that good stuff too.
Okay, well, I'm liking you a lot, Tyler. I mean, we've met a couple times in the group that we're part of. So I'm going to do something for you today. The first 4 people that reach out to you, I'm going to give them a $20 Amazon gift card.
Oh, cool. I love it.
I don't need to buy from you. The fourth, and they got to mention the podcast, of course. I just say, hey, if they mention Steve Ramona or the podcast or both, doesn't matter. Hey, I heard you here.
Yeah,
Tyler will reach out to me and I'll get your email address and I'm going to send you a digital Amazon gift card. Sometimes it takes that for people to learn. You could be a multimillionaire with people like Tyler. I'm being flat out honest and blunt here. Don't try to run this game alone. I'm a big sports guy again. And it's interesting what you said about, what I do when this happens. It's the same thing in sports. The coach will tell you, hey, if the player goes this way, you do this. If the player does this, you do this. Yeah. Super simple. I got 2 options. I've got answers. Your job is much easier, right?
Yeah. 100%. That's super cool. I hope everybody heard that. First 4 people that listen to the show, Steve's going to hook you up with an Amazon gift card. For any of my family members that might be listening, it does not apply to family. So my wife that reaches out and tries to get an Amazon, it doesn't work. I'm just kidding.
I love it. No, you're right. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just what a servant does is when they see something good, you've got to put your money where your mouth is. I'm not a big fan of that phrase, but you've got to live that servant heart. With servants like you do, you're going to, there's value to you. So you got to pay for that value. And that's okay. Yeah. Because if you're getting the ROI and you're out in Bahamas because Tyler's helped you run your business. Yeah. You're going to have a drink on Tyler when you're in the Bahamas with your wife and your kids. Totally. Yeah. And here's the cool thing. Everything that you're saying today, any business can do this. You just focus on agencies, but this is pretty general, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I focus primarily on marketing agencies just because, like I said, that's kind of been most of my experience in the last decade. But it is like, if you're in a different industry, go find somebody that does kind of what I'm doing in that industry, and vet them, check references, whatever you need to do to make sure that they're legit and they've got some experience. But there is coaches that help in every industry, and I I'd highly recommend, finding one that works. Sometimes you might have to go through a season with one and maybe you'll stick with them for a long time. Maybe it's a shorter season and you find the next, the one that you're really looking for that you connect with a lot. But there is that, you have to build that trust and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'd encourage people to go, find somebody that's helpful. You don't have to do it alone. Entrepreneurial land is lonely enough, And so finding people you can do it with, a coach is great, groups, masterminds, all sorts of those things are great too. But an individual coach is usually really helpful because, like, for my scenario, you're going to go through a business assessment. I'm going to dive so fast into your business and kind of tear it apart in a really positive way and less painful way, but just really understanding it real quickly. Whereas in a lot of those group settings don't do that same thing. So,
and don't go jumping on videos and try to learn it through videos.
I mean, you can, like, I'm a huge learner. Yeah. Read a lot of books and watch videos, YouTube, Udemy courses, whatever it takes. But reality is those guys aren't tailoring it to what you do and where you're at. And you're having to burn a lot of calories to get from, I think that's the lesson they were trying to teach. And I think this is kind of how I would apply that. And I've done a ton of that. So there's nothing wrong with it. I've also tried to go, okay, I learned from a lot of coaches, learn from people that have been there, done that. And then I might go learn a skill on the other side. So it's kind of like, some of the supportive things I might need to know to actually accomplish what I learned from the coach or from the consultant. I then go through a course or, maybe an in-person long weekend thing or whatever it is to kind of learn some of those skills.
Yeah, education. And now
Yeah.
it's so well
Yeah.
said. You nailed it. I'm not saying that, and it's good. You got the coach, but then educate yourself. You're going to
Yeah.
make the coach better.
Yeah.
There's one
For
more
sure.
word that I love because I love vision. I love why I call desire. They're kind of to me the same thing.
Sure.
Accountability. How important
Ooh.
is that for marketing agencies?
Jeez. I believe, in my opinion, in all business, accountability is probably the most feared thing in business. And so that alone just says, oh my gosh, it's probably one of the most important things. If you're going to do something, go do it. So that is one of the things. Like, I've worked with lots of sales teams, and one of the things we do is put in a daily scorecard. What are the things? How many people did you reach out to? How much revenue did you close? How many meetings did you have? And post it every day, because pretty quickly you're going to go, I don't want to put a 0 in every single field every single day. So you're going to start doing stuff. So free tip, if you run a sales team or have a salesperson working for you, do a daily shutdown, daily scorecard. And it can be really simple, should take 30 seconds to fill out, but it is something that if people are having to put something up front and actually say it, those are really, those are, again, it's feared. You want to do it. You're afraid of not doing it. So across the board, but like, those are the kind of things that I really do try to put in real fast to try to create value really quickly in organizations. A lot of it has to do with that accountability of, how do you get people to do things that they say they're going to do? Because most people do it. I don't believe that everyone's like trying to, not do things. They just get busy. I mean, I think the new number is 5,000 messages a day people get hit by. So if I have a meeting in the morning as a one-on-one and we talk about 11 things, the chances of them remembering all 11 by 5 p.m. that day is probably close to 0%, And so you do have to just start putting in some of those regular routines, regular practices that help people kind of be accountable in whatever they're doing, whatever their task is.
And it works in, well, they use agencies that there's 10 salespeople and they all see this. So this is all public.
Yeah.
Steve did this, Tyler did this, Debbie did this. Steve had 1, you had 5, Debbie had 20.
Yeah.
And we're running out of time, but you got me going again.
Yeah.
How's that work? Because to me, it doesn't sound like it'll work, but you've done it. So tell me how that works.
I think those two, that works. And the other thing is, if that doesn't work for you, some people it doesn't work for, because some people, the sales roles, it's a little bit different. Not everyone's like an SDR or BDR role and they're just trying to like move stuff, right? And so then another tactic that we've done in the past is, once a week you got a finance meeting and you got 90% and 50% likely to close. Put actual client's name, dollar amounts, what you're going to sell them. Hey, I'm pretty sure 90% these people are going to close. All right, I'm about 50% these people will close. Names, specifics, and then the next week, you got to give a report on those exact ones that you talked about. Are they closed yet? Are they still 90? Why are they still 90? How do we pull them across the finish line, And oftentimes that's more helpful because it kind of brings in like that team sale model a little bit more. Because then it's like, oh, great, how can I help? What bottle of whiskey can we send them? Or what can we, what can we do to help pull them, like I said, across the finish line? So that's another tactic that can be helpful. It's maybe not like a daily check-in or shutdown scorecard, but kind of like those 50%, 90%. We literally use a spreadsheet. It's every month, specific amount, what you're going to do for them, and the company, and then maybe the contacts names, or pull them straight from your CRM. And then you're having that conversation. So it's just like those specific people that you have to answer to, right? You just have to go, company XYZ, how are you doing on that one, Charles, or whatever your name is, that's done sales. They're not going to want to say, yeah, they've been at 90 for 6 months now. I'm going to get them at some point. Says no one ever. Like, that's never what you want to say, right? And so some of those tactics just do help just with communication. They help with accountability. They help you move deals a lot faster because you've got a specific thing you're focused on versus just a number of deals in the pipeline. So I could talk about this stuff forever. I think it's really fun. So,
well, audience, this is the real deal. Again, 4 Amazon gift cards. I do this to see if people listen to the end
fun.
and see what happens, But I thank you for being on.
Of course.
I hope I can have you back because there's so much other things we can talk about. I'd love to have you back, and we'll talk more about it. And thank you again for being on the show and taking the time.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Okay.
What you left so many nuggets that I'm going to write down. I've got in my notes. But what's one more thing the audience could learn, or a tip that you have for them to help them personally or professionally or both for their journey?
Yeah. All right. I was going to talk about vision a little bit, but we hit that earlier in the show. So I'm going to leave you with a quick one. I believe everyone's always in a transition. So everybody's always, they're building something, they're moving towards the next thing. Could be job, could be skill set, learning, training, could be a dad or a mom with kids, could be whatever. I would encourage people to really dig into what do you do right now that you can't take into your next season. So what do you need to basically stop doing now that you can't take into your next season? Usually everyone's got one. You're maybe afraid to let go of it, afraid to stop doing it. Yeah, but so what do you need to stop doing now that you can't take into your next season?